That's not hard. That's part of the market. No, so it's, but it's like the second round.
All right, folks, it's 7:30. We'll call this meeting to order, please. Rise to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, you'll call roll, please. Trustee Hawk.
Here.
Trustee McGuire,
Here.
trustee Schatzberger,
Here.
trustee Thomas.
Here.
Trustee Kennelly,
Here.
trustee Diatley.
Here.
All right, all trustees are present. There are no electronic means needed. Do I have a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes from June 16th, 2025? I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved by McGuire, seconded by Kennelly. Any comments, questions, or discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay? All ayes, no nay, motion passes, minutes have been approved. Move on to the president report. I've asked trustee Diatley to please read the civility pledge.
In the interest of civility, I pledge to promote civility by listening, being respectful of others, acknowledging that we are all striving to support and improve our community, and understanding that we each may have different ideas for achieving that objective.
Thank you. All right, I'm not familiar if whether President Pickett used to do a state of the village, but trustee Kennelly brought it to my attention during the campaign. I thought it was a good idea, and actually in a lot of our training, they've suggested having a regular state of your municipality update so that we all know what's going on, especially with the transition. I thought it was very important. So, good evening, residents of Sleepy Hollow. It is both an honor and a responsibility to speak with you today on the state of our village. A community built not just on scenic views and charming streets, but on the voices and the values of its people. First, I want to extend a huge thank you to the Sleepy Hollow Service Club, all of the volunteers, our residents, the police officers, the OEM staff for putting on such a fantastic 4th of July celebration, as well as the fireworks this weekend. It was wonderful seeing so many neighbors and residents out visiting, celebrating, and just having a wonderful time. I'm also looking forward to catching up with more neighbors and celebrating continuously this week. Tomorrow night at the concert in the park that's being hosted by the Dundee Township Park District, and I believe the Lions Club will be serving concessions there. And then we have our second Market in the Hollow this coming Sunday. For all intents and purposes, I understand that they have double the vendors, and we had a great turnout last time. I hope to see people there this weekend, and that's from 10 until 1 on Sunday, and then the fireworks, I believe, the start time was 6 o'clock. So I hope to see people there. Since stepping into the role of village president, I have immersed myself in training through the Illinois Municipal League as well as Metro West. I've participated in networking events with local public officials, as well as mayors from across Illinois. And I've engaged in constructive conversations with the village staff, residents, and professionals who work within the village. These sessions have been invaluable in equipping me with tools for thoughtful guidance and in fostering relationships with the public officials in our neighboring areas, as well as our own staff and our residents here in the village. Many have generously offered guidance, shared experiences, and given me practical tools to help guide Sleepy Hollow forward. Now, supported by a full board, as well as my new clerk, and potentially this evening, our new village administrator, we are well positioned to address outstanding issues and move forward proactively. In addition to my other duties, I've been actively seeking out various grant opportunities, projects that have been brought to my attention. In particular, I'm looking into funding for strengthening our water infrastructure, specifically the water mains, and clearing invasive species and restoring native plants, as well as enhancing public spaces. Sabatino Park has been a particular focus, and I'm researching funding to make it more accessible and welcoming to all of our residents here in the village. We've also started researching the topics of e-bikes, e-strollers, and golf carts within the village. If you have an interest or a strong position either way, please reach out to us. I know some neighboring villages have been enacting ordinances, and we are doing our research to see how that could fit into the village, or if you have opposition, please let us know. Moreover, during my campaign, I promised regular office hours, and I'm pleased to announce that those have already begun, but they are official this week, and that's Wednesdays from noon until 2. Admittedly, if this doesn't work with your schedule, you can certainly set up an appointment with me. I'm around, I'm local. I want to be able to meet with you at your convenience whenever possible. Also, I'm here quite regularly, so if you see me here, you're welcome to stop in for a spontaneous visit. So long as I'm available, I will do so. Many of you have also reached out to us about other properties in the neighborhood that have fallen on difficult times or disrepair, as some have said. I have not been putting you off. Unfortunately, there's been so much to address these first 2 months. But that being said, the chief, Jeff Fleck, and I will be meeting within the next 2 weeks prior to our next board meeting, which is today's the 7th, the 4th, the 24th, or the 23rd. 21st, there we go. Before our next board meeting, and we'll work on a more regular enforcement for our village code that we'll be able to see enacted this summer. Sleepy Hollow is a village that values input, civic involvement, and mutual accountability. I want to express my sincere appreciation for those residents who actively participate, whether by attending meetings, submitting comments, or simply asking questions. Your engagement is vital to our shared success. I recognize that engagement can be difficult and oftentimes frustrating, but it is essential. Your perspectives help uncover alternative avenues and ensure that the local government remains responsive and transparent. That said, we must also acknowledge a hard truth. There are moments when participation, particularly when driven by misinformation, turns unproductive and it can even undermine the cohesion of the village. This brings me to 1601 West Main Street. I know many of you are angry about it and feel unheard with respect to the development and the trees being removed. These concerns come from a place of passion and protectiveness over our village character, and I do hear that. I also understand that change, especially when it feels close to home, stirs deep emotions. I am not unfamiliar with this. I was there when Saddle Club was raised and put in. I was there when Deer Creek was put in, and I used to play in the horse fields that are now Carrington Reserve. This is not an unknown thing. It stirs a lot of deep emotions. The fact remains, however, that 1601 West Main is private property owned by Conrad Rybeck. And as such, he is a resident of this village, just like each of you. As president, I have a duty to serve each of the residents as well as the village as a whole. That includes Conrad and the property at 1601 West Main. The reality is this: our buffer yard ordinances, like many across the state, are inherently reactive and unfortunately are not proactive. They set standards, but they don't anticipate every possible concern. And unfortunately, I inherited a situation that has been developing for 3 years. Despite only holding office for a few months, I've invested significant time here. I invested significant time trying to broker understanding between two opposing but equally passionate sides. We must remember that civility is not optional. When private residents feel threatened, when private residents feel threatened, we are crossing a line. And this goes for both sides of the conflict. Our conversations must reflect not just concern, but compassion, and accountability should be constructive. My commitment is to keep working forward towards fair, sensible solutions that support both the long-term interests of the village and the rights of individuals. But that work must be rooted in facts, calm dialogue, and in mutual respect. We are at our strongest when we lead with empathy and unity. Sleepy Hollow can and must remain a place where every resident, regardless of their position on a single issue, feels safe, respected, and heard. Just because we haven't been able to do what you have asked does not mean that you have not been listened to, considered, and tried every option. Thank you for your continued engagement. Together, we shape the future of Sleepy Hollow, and I believe we can build a village that we are proud to call home. Thank you for your time. Next on the agenda, we have a review of the Code of Conduct, Section 1-15, Unfortunately, today there has been a lot going on and we do not have that prepared. We will push it to the next meeting again, but it will be addressed. So moving on from there, it's not on here, but I did want to say a quick thank you to Wendy O'Neill for putting together the public works brochure that will be sent out to residents. Residents on the sewer system. And at this point, we're moving on to item D for village administrator. Trustee Hoff, you have something?
President, I would like to ask to make a motion to move D, the discussion on village administrator, to executive session.
Executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Moved by Hoff, seconded by McGuire to move item D from the president's report to an executive session. Comments, questions, discussion? I think that's a good idea. My question is, executive session usually comes at the end of the evening, and I know that this is a vote, and in the interest of transparency, we have two options. We can either break right now into executive session. You guys can stay here. We can go into the conference room, discuss, come back, and then we can proceed with the vote, the discussion and motion, or we can wait till the end of the meeting. My concern is there's a lot of people here. I do want there to be transparency. I don't know if they will want to stay through all of the reports and then towards the end of the meeting. So I just would ask you guys to consider that. And would you like to have the executive session now or after the meeting, like at the end of the meeting?
Is there,
We would still vote at the end of the meeting on whatever we needed to,
is
but
there anything else that's gonna need to be discussed in the executive session?
yes.
Would it be possible to have the executive session at the end of our the agenda, the meeting
Yeah,
tonight,
we can do that.
and then vote at the next meeting?
We actually can resume the meeting after the executive session and do votes tonight if that's the case.
He's asking if we can do votes in 2 weeks.
Oh, we can, sure.
I would-
Executive session at the end of today's meeting,
Mhm.
vote in the next meeting with public hearing.
You can do that option. All right,
I would that option.
so would you like to amend the motion to say moving sections D to executive session at the end of the meeting? And the administrator would be voted on in 2 weeks' time, the next meeting?
Yes.
That's the motion I would.
I'll second
I'm
that.
saying,
Is there,
that's
is
what-
there a reason we're waiting to vote? I mean, it's, you know,
I think just for discussion, I think that people look, we all know that this is gonna be a long meeting tonight. So I think prolonging it and people are told they gotta go home, they gotta work tomorrow and stuff like that, I think. Having the vote public is important, but if people leave, I think it's.
I mean, I'm not voting on it unless it's a tie, but I mean, my standpoint is I would like to have the administrator effective this week if possible, but I understand if you guys want to delay it.
I don't wanna delay it.
I don't want to delay it either.
Okay, so we're back to the original motion of we will have the village administrator at the end of the meeting today in an executive, we'll discuss village administrator at the end of the meeting today in executive session and then return for a vote
I
today.
think they'll move to vote next meeting.
He just said he didn't want to delay, so I'm asking.
No,
our
it's Bill.
Bill Hoff has the motion on the table. He's the only one who can amend it at this time.
I would keep it as it was originally. I would say, in the interest of time for these people, move it to the end of this agenda
Okay,
and then come back and vote on it.
night after the executive session.
Mhm.
So the motion before you is we move item D, village administrator discussion and motion to the executive session at 14B. That will come after the completion of the rest of our meeting, and then we will return to a full board meeting to vote on the matter tonight. Trustee McGuire, do you still second?
I still second.
All right, any further comments, questions, or discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, all opposed, all in favor. All right, we'll move that to executive session at the end of tonight and come back to vote on it afterwards. Thank you. One more item I did not have listed under the president report, but came up today. There's a question about permitting one of our residents who has a food truck to participate in the market in Mahalo this weekend. The market falls under the purview of the service club. They've expressed that they have no hesitations for it, but the problem or the crux of it lies in. We don't have an ordinance governing being allowed to have a food truck in the village right now, and where actions are not expressly permitted by the village in our code, then they are actually excluded from being allowed. We would need to draft up an ordinance and have it passed, which we couldn't have done in time for this meeting. So it would have to wait until the next meeting, 7/21. That's where we are on that. Trustees, if you have any comments, I certainly welcome them once you get to the trustee reports. But I've spoken to Barb and spoken to Mark. We're gonna work on seeing if something can come up with that, but currently that's where the village stands, and we don't have an ordinance that permits it at the moment. All right, that is the end of the president report. Is there a clerk's report?
The only thing I have is that OMA and FOIA training for the board are due by the end of July. And if you need information on that, we
I was
can.
gonna say, do you have links you can send us to what
Yes.
we need to do?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Link in the FOIA.
All right, Barb Detmer's with us tonight. Is there a planning and zoning report? Thank you. Attorney Schuster, is there a report?
No, man, no report.
Jeff is here. Hi, Jeff. Is there an engineer report?
The only thing I have is that the bid opening for the street program is this Friday at 1 o'clock.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear the beginning.
The bid opening for the street program is this Friday at 1 o'clock.
Thank you.
What's all in there, Jeff?
It is Daniel Ford's. You put me on the spot here. Willow.
It's all the paving then.
Yeah, I'll give you.
It's not the culvert.
No, no.
Okay, that's all I needed.
Thank you. All right, moving on to Eugene, finance report.
Request a motion for the approval of the warrants in the amount of $105,070.90.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Second.
moved by Hoff, seconded by Diatley. Any comments, questions, or discussion about the warrants? No discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. No opposed, motion passes.
We are this close to getting a integrated online system for the utility billing, where residents will be able to look up their current balance on the system. One of the features of it is to be able to make an automatic payment. However, the fly in the ointment is that the company needs the date of the bill and the date and the due date sent to them. Currently, the file coming from the provider from MSI to them does not include that information. I'm working with them to try and get that information included, but I'm not guaranteed that that is going to be possible. The other option that they were giving to us is to have static billing due and billing dates. So right now, the way it works is we don't have a listed billing date. However, we have a penalty date that is 25 days after the billing date.
Mhm.
So what's happening is that that date is constantly moving. Okay, it's generally due in the first week of the month, but it could be the third, it could be the fifth, you know. So one of the other options we could do is to establish a static billing due date and a static bill date. Where some months it might not be that 25 days between the two, like in February. So we would probably have to change the ordinance for that. The advantage of having a static date is then people would know when the bill is due. It's one of the most frequent calls that we get is that when is it due?
The static date, it would just be an arbitrary date that we
An
picked.
arbitrary date.
So if we did the first, we could even, and then in February, get it within the 25 days.
Yeah, so we could have to do the first of every month, and generally the billing date would be around the 7th, 8th, 9th of the month, something like that.
Oh, so the bill date would be the first, but the actual date that the billing.
The bill that's due would be the first, and then the billing date when the new bills would go out.
All right, there's no motion to go on this at the moment.
No,
Any-
just, soliciting thoughts, is that the path you would like to go, or do you want to just wait and see if the technological solution can be? Again, like I said, the advantage of having a static date is when people always know that their bill is due that, I think, every day.
Plus, I like the idea of just having electronic access to be able to pay. We need to get more stuff online.
Yeah,
Does anybody have objections to us looking into setting up a static date?
No, I just go with the static date.
That's what I do.
so then we would just then need to change the ordinance on when we can assess a late penalty.
And is Wendy fully apprised of this?
Right,
Knows-
she's aware, yeah.
Okay,
Her concerns are is that about the billing due dates and stuff like that on the weekend, but I think those are things we can. We're not stickler, so if the due date is on a weekend, we're gonna count everything that we get come Monday.
yeah, I think we should start working on changing the ordinance and get that. I think.
Eugene, is there any fee for somebody to pay on that new system?
So what the fee would be is whatever the credit card fee, I think it is a set 3% or 3.5% with the credit card. And if you do an electronic check, it's a $2 charge. I got them to lower that. It was initially higher.
But people would still be able to pay their bills online through their bank directly without any fee.
I have to admit, I am actually very shocked that when we went over to court money, and even with the fees that they're charging, the amount of fees that we're getting electronically is just outstanding. It's just, I would have never believed it. The advantage of now going with this other system is that it's automatically going to be recorded in our system. So right now we have to manually make all the deposits, even, the people make their electronics deposits now, but then we have to manually treat it like cash kind of thing, and then enter it all over the system manually. But when they do it online with their new system, it gets automatically entered into our system. And so it saves us some work.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. One other item that I wanted to have, if it was not on the agenda, is that I want to give a lot of thanks to Kyle and to Sam. The village was awarded the Safety Award for Excellence by the IPRF, that's our workman's comp claims. We have had among the top 4% villages within the state of Illinois for a lack of workman comp's claim. And I don't believe we've actually had any for the last couple of years. And but it is due to the work of Sam and Kyle.
Congrats.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Could somebody grab the public comments? All right, we have a list of 8. If we can begin with Kathy Eaton, please.
I have a quick question about, who put forms the oversight about tree trimming on Sleepy Hollow Road? Is it Mr. Canelli or,
There's no designee for overseeing the cutting on Sleepy Hollow Road. I've been speaking, I'm sorry, I should respond. This has been a question. I've been in contact with ComEd and Asplund, the cutting services. We tried to have it set up for the fall and they came in early in the May. But I'd be happy to have a meeting with you to discuss all of the goings on. Okay, thank you. Right, Edie Reese, please.
I think I'm gonna pass tonight on speaking. obviously I'm the crux of a lot of, the frustration with everything that happened at 1601. I do have some pictures that have come since I started taking pictures just recently, and the last page is, they're all gone. All the things are gone. I really truly believe that, Mr. Ryback disrespected everybody in the village by what he did. I understand he's a landowner, I get it. But that's not what you do. When you come into this village, you're given a list of rules and regulations, and I feel the zoning book is one of those. 2023, the coding officer said we should be happy when land gets closed. Well, you know what, we're not. And now we sit not knowing what's gonna happen. It's not a good situation. I feel now my safety's been a little compromised now because I have no protection at all, and you can clearly see our homes now from 72. Yes, I know it was gonna happen. I just thought the person would be more respectful. And all the promises he made in the beginning should have been sought up, that you guys should have seen through it and realized he wasn't gonna follow through. It is just so upsetting, so incredibly upsetting to see this happen. And I'm sorry that this is happening to our village, and I really hope that somebody could do something to make sure nothing else happens. All our neighbors, we're all in the same boat. We're all here supporting each other. And at this point, it's just a complete mess and a failure. And I'm sorry. Thank you, Edie.
Pete Brennan. Please.
So something very positive. Trustee Kennelly, Kyle, Jeff, thank you for the prompt professional response. Concerns regarding the shoulder and stormwater over there on Locust. Not all done, but you know what? Right there. Thanks, Dad.
No, look.
And yeah, I want to talk to this. The 1601 inherited in part. Do I expect you to know every jot and tittle of the code? No. I expect you to be familiar with it. I expect you to have ready access, reliable resource to give you counsel, good counsel. So when you turn around and say, well, he's only gonna go this far and that's it. You're gonna have a green wall. He's only gonna go straight and you'll have that green wall. None of that happened. None of it was in writing either, and that's so critical. You give a directive, which can be hazardous. Barbara can tell you, I'm sure. If it's not in writing, nobody said it. You put everybody at risk and it makes the whole situation so much more complicated to remediate. Going forward, we can't, these are things that come with training, with experience. You're very, 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 very new at in this level of municipal government. But you gotta hit the ground running, period. It's on you. Regarding the appointment of Eugene to the administrative position. I'm glad the discussion is a little bit deferred to later. With all respect to you, Eugene, and believe it or not, I do have a lot of respect. Okay. How you survived 30 years, Chicago PD, I don't know, but you did it. All right. you have your time record supervisor. Right? But the scope that's involved in a village administrator is rather broader than even where you're at right now. In my work in municipalities as the building official, planning, zoning director, and other positions, I've observed all these things. I'm not saying you could never do it, but it concerns me that you're the only candidate. And there's been no other interview. I think that's a little bit inappropriate. While it is a need, there's an absolute need, and I think that's well established. At the same time, let's not just pull the trigger, it's done, it's off the table. We have to, there are times, we do need a little more deliberation. Talking about, there's a P&Z meeting on Monday. I don't understand why we're still short commissioners. As we begin the discussions of amendments to the codes, we're not fully impaneled. Again, inappropriate. And right now, I believe you mentioned you have some people who have expressed interest. I know I was. But at this point, there's been no names brought out, presented to the board for approval. It's a concern when we have a meeting scheduled, but nothing can actually happen because we don't have a full panel. Okay, so what, we're gonna go cancel at the last minute? Just suspend the meeting until, okay, now we got people lined up, but we need to get on that, yeah. It's been months. Yeah, there's been a lot to do. There's a lot to do. It needs to get done.
Thank you. Margaret, I'm sorry, Amino.
Oh, no. My husband and I, Dan Orlando, who is next on your list as well. We have been residents for over 8 years in this community, and we own a small business. We're looking to be able to give back to the community. So we're asking for opportunities within the community to give back. We own a small business, which is a barbecue food truck. And we're looking to be able to be part of the market or another revenue source that can bring back that revenue to the community, maybe a pop-up event within the district. I know that this isn't something that's on the board currently or approved of, so we're looking to be able to open up that opportunity.
Thank you, Mark. Oh, no, you're so busy. I will just, if trustee McGuire actually brought your business to my attention, just, I think it was last week we spoke. We have been looking into it, and as I mentioned, we found out, I've learned with the respect to the ordinances that it's not expressed, we can't do it, but we are moving forward with it to see what we can do to help. I understand you expressed interest in the market in the Hollow at the moment because they don't have the infrastructure for serving food. It would have to be just a table with wrapped sandwiches instead of preparing food on site. But I think that's something that perhaps you guys could work out with Christine Fuqua, and then we'll see what we can do with. I'll get your phone number afterwards so I can follow up.
Absolutely.
Set a meeting.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Dan, would you like to speak?
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. John Florence. Can we all just give John an applause, please, as our service rep?
I guess I'll talk about the July 4th. Really quick, I'm not gonna talk about too much detail because a lot of people have, but we're still taking input from all different directions. You know, there's obviously money is always an issue, but you know, basically the 4th we think was pretty successful, although it was pretty challenging with the weather in the morning. You know, I don't think I have worn my foul weather gear at a 4th of July event for 20 years, and this was one of those. But overall, you know, the weather cleared and I think people were pretty happy. We were really pleased with the changes we made in the park, moving the games and the shade, that came from Bill Hoff, who's not even in the club. Made that suggestion, but it was a good one, got the pony rides out of this, thing. Yeah, so we did a lot of adjustment this year and it seemed to work out pretty well. And I bring that up because, we actually pull these events off successfully year over year by kind of figuring out the formula and sticking with the formula. So us old guys who can't remember things or don't have enough youthful help to do things, we figure out ways to just get it done on a short schedule with limited resources. But we're always looking for input on different ways to do that. The only real issue we had on the 4th was we need to talk to the fire department about throwing water balloons and about tossing candy. I did talk to a variety of people from all over the area. And one thing that we'll have to educate them on is throwing candy from a vehicle is not a semantic term. It is important that they not do that because standing right there, you drop candy on the ground from a moving vehicle and kids run out there. They cannot see, those people driving a fire truck or a large vehicle cannot see those kids running there. And so we're going to keep working on that with all of them. I'm almost the way the insurance company talks about it. It might even be a state regulation, but we haven't looked into that. We might ask the village to look into that. But everything else on the 4th went pretty well. Got everything put together. The 6th was its own challenge. Rain during the day, some crazy rain during the day, and then because of that, we think that kept the attendance down. We probably were down had about 2/3 of what we normally do. But because of that, parking was easy to do. We were down manpower, injuries, people out of town, things like that. The chief jumped in. OEM was great. When near the end, we had kind of a spur to parking, and we just turned over all the traffic direction to them, and they covered that. I thought this was probably the smoothest 4th of July I remember in a really long time. So that was good. Everyone wants to know about the money. We don't know yet. I would assume that we're probably down, but we're not in bad shape. The Save the Fireworks team, the additional fundraisers, all the efforts from everyone in the community has really kind of paid off. And I think we have some cushion. So, now we're going to do some last minute accounting and start shifting into Halloween in the Hollow. One thing I will ask, just a comment. My understanding is for special event liquor applications, you can't put them in less than 30 days. But the issue is you have to get liquor commission approval before you can get a state license. And then you need a state license before you can actually engage with the alcohol distributors. And that 30 days, 4 weeks is super, super tight to try and get that done. Because this year we ran into 2 issues, typos with the state that added 5 days. And when you think about those 5 days to the 30 out of the 20 days we have to work with, that's really too tight to plan an event like that. We really need 60 days minimum, probably 90, probably a good cushion. So that's it. Appreciate everyone's support. It was a lot of fun. I heard all of.
John, if I could just confirm with what I just heard from you, the liquor license as well as the state licensing, it would be better, you think it would be better if we could increase hours to 60 days or maybe even 90?
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Thank you. All right, Jean Tannhauser, please.
Hello. First, I'd like to thank Service Club and the Village for the wonderful 4th of July event. It was great. The fireworks were great. Thank you very much. It's really nice that the village does that. I also, like Edie, am here to talk about 1601, which I know you addressed. You think you answered a lot of the questions I had. But my concern, like Edie's, is we are now wide open to a very busy street. we hear music, we hear revving engines, we hear drag racing, we hear everything, and not only the noise, it's the view. I mean, there's nothing's left in Edie's house, and when I drove by today, I almost started crying, and I know we all know that that's coming our way. We were never told directly why he's doing it. We were never told what was done to see if you could stop. I mean, you did tell us, but how do we know that you said that to me? And I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying we have no proof of it. We don't know, like Mr. Schuster, we don't know Barb said anything, nobody's ever spoken to us about anything. Emails have gone unanswered. I mean, so it is a concern. It is what it is now, but we would like to know if there's any plan for the village to give us some privacy back. I mean, he's going right up to our property line, which I don't understand how that could be both of our property lines. Does he not have a different property line? He's going right up to ours. So what is going behind it? Nothing. How can he go up to ours and it be his? I don't understand that. Doesn't he have like, what happened to
You
the
asked him
buffer?
about easement.
Yeah, the easement, like how come he's going on the easement? It just doesn't make any sense to us. We're very disappointed the way it was handled. The old board, the new board, not every member of the board. But it's just been 3 years, 3 years. We've only been here 6.5. So we've been dealing with this for half the time we've been out here. We love it here. We don't want to move. And now I don't even know if moving would be possible. I mean, who's gonna want to move there? There's no privacy. And I understand not every house in the village has privacy from their yard. I understand this, but not every house in the village has a main street. So that's just our concern. We're again disappointed, angry, upset, shocked. I was so shocked when I saw Edie's house today. So, and several of you were out there to see it before. Drive by now. You'll be shocked as well. I mean, if one of you were living out there, would it be different? Like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to any of us on the report, but it is what it is. And I think right now we would just like to know what, if anything, would be done to get some of the privacy back. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jean. I appreciate it. Deb Vernon, please.
Hi, my name is Deborah Vernon. I live at 821 Locust Drive, Sleepy Hollow. We've lived here 23 years, resident and homeowner. 16 years experience in local government in Wisconsin, Illinois, 4 in Wisconsin in local government. I'm kind of there's 2 things I just wanted to bring up. Charles from the newsletter, he did contact me after I had a question at last time's meeting. We talked on the phone. I think I'm just gonna send an email to both of you, but it was a really good conversation, and it was, thank you for setting that up. I guess in just my personal opinion, I feel that a better choice for a village administrator would be somebody who has proven village administrator experience. There's a lot to do. I think we want Sleepy Hollow to be better. That person would know best practices, they would have experience, they would know all those things. That is my personal opinion of how there are part-time places that do that, part-time employees could be contracted. You could recruit them yourselves, you know, and then, there is services. Used to be called GovHR, they have changed their name, and it has 3 initials, I can't recall what it's right now. And then this whole thing is very upsetting, the 1601. I mean, a lot of people are affected, and we have spent so much time, and I was crying too. You know, this is a lot. This is a lot. This does not happen in regular villages. There's things that they put into place, so they're protected. Attorney Schuster, I don't know what you were doing, and you know, this is not normal operating things for any villages. I can tell you West Dundee, East Dundee, Elgin, they didn't deal out. I'm just gonna do a quick timeline. See if I get it all together. So I sent to all the village board along with the clerk and Eugene Van and Chief Karma. Thing that I put together that was
he was communicating with Laurel Ford and also Pete and I on Messenger, and that was really, we did get a lot of good communication. Just some things I'm just gonna read. Oh, before that, we met with Courtney on May 25th. Pete and I set up a meeting with her, and we talked about having the self-storage as a non-permitted use in the future. We talked about that. And we also discussed that what happens if he starts cutting trees again? And we had some back and forth conversation, and it was like you were starting to work on something, some legal things that could prevent this. So that was the first thing on 5/27 that started. All right, so 6/16, 10 o'clock in the morning. What we saw is that Courtney said that they're only going to take down the few dead trees that are in the buffer zone. That was 6/16, 10:23 a.m. I made him aware of repercussions of the buffer zone, and he doesn't seem to want to take anything down without express approval from Ryback. Both of us are still trying to get a hold of Ryback. 6/16, 1:35 p.m. Courtney go to the group chat. Well, apologies, I've been monitoring the progress every hour, and they're staying with the parameters I set to them. I only mentioned the dead trees in my earlier message, but then I forgot to mention that there's some honeysuckle and buckthorn that's growing. And then I asked them if they could leave some of the bushes so it creates a green barrier, as we discussed before, between the vacant lot and your residential lots while we sort through this. Can't go into details at this time. However, please know that I'm seeking every avenue possible to ensure that they don't take down any trees in that green buffer. Then on 6/19, a memo or an email was sent to 4 residents on Laurel Court, me and Pete, and happy Trustee Thomas, Eugene, Dan, and Chief Carmel. It says I have advised Conrad that each day that there's not a buffer yard or is less than the ordinance requirements between the residents and his property, he will be cited and fined. Also said that I anticipate a lot, if not all, the vegetation is coming down today. I'm truly sorry this is happening. I look into positive approaches to counter the actions, work stop orders, court orders, injunction relief. And unfortunately, this is strategically what is best for the village right now. That's what we heard. I know you're cutting me off. But I mean, the whole big thing of this is similar to what Edie said, Jean said, is that this is not the way it should have went down. And we all know this, but everything that was written in our ordinances and in our B2 zoning helped protect this. But it got all just jumbled up, and now it appears to me as a resident that you all don't want to deal with it. You just want to push it down the street, and then these poor people have to live the way it is. I mean, it's upsetting, maybe it's not upsetting to everybody in the village. You know, I emailed all this to the board. I don't know if you ever saw this before I emailed it. I don't know. It didn't say. And then today I.
Thank you for your time, Deb. I'm afraid your time is up.
Okay, so I am done. I appreciate it. And the last thing is 10-foot or more fencing on the back of
Thank you
these
for your
people's
time.
properties.
It's up.
I heard you.
All right. Thank you for the public comments. We are moving from public comments to trustee reports. Roads, parks and streets, trustee Cannelli.
Regarding roads, I am trying to meet with a resident on Sleepy Hollow Road who had some drainage issues. I don't think they're really really serious. But 2 stops at his home, he wasn't there, as well as emails that have not been returned, so. If we get to talk, I'm sure we can resolve it easily, but that's the status. Mr. Vernon has already mentioned what's being done to repair a problem in Locust. I had talked earlier about a proposed bike path on Von Koski. We are involved, it's becoming a much more involved project because of border issues with between ourselves and West Dundee, and working with them to find ways to make this happen. But that's still in progress. Today I came across a new issue for me. I've already talked with Kyle about it on Van Tassel. And the customer, the client, the resident brought it to my attention, knowing that that street is scheduled for some street repair and wanted to find out there's some resolution to his drainage issue, so there'll be more on that. And I think for future discussions, I just have some concerns about, as do most everybody else in the room, regarding speeding on our roads, and have some thoughts that I'd like to put together in the future regarding how we can slow some folks down, especially on curves, because I'm very concerned that someone at some point is going to be hurt seriously, and we need to address that. From a park standpoint, I think Sabatino was absolutely beautiful for the 4th of July. I gotta congratulate you and your team. Some extremely warm days that they put in, hours getting ready for that event, so thank you very much. As to one of our public comments regarding committees, I also still need some volunteers for the park committee, so these are volunteer positions, and we're again asking if people have an interest in participating in parks, please let me know. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, trustee Kennelly. All right, moving on to finance, trustee Hoff.
Real quick, just some additional information. Keep bringing it up about water main breaks. Apologize down. But we did do some more due diligence. And since 2020, 6 years worth, well, almost 6, we're halfway through 2025, so 5.5 years, we're averaging 7.5 water main breaks a year. So it wasn't as bad as I had originally imagined. The price of repairing them has certainly gone up, but I still would like Courtney to work with you and Jenny and Kyle for that intergovernmental agreement.
Yeah.
To have discussions with the fire department.
Okay. Also, I did find there's some grant options that I'd like to send your way to see if you and Kyle and Jeff can kind of see if that's something that would be applicable with our water systems.
Replacing, I wrote that down for replacement. Right?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
All right, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't circumventing Jenny with that. It had to do with the finance component. So you as well, trustee McGuire. So, water and sewer, trustee McGuire, the report.
I don't have a report about that. I do want to say that I feel for the people on the road court. I've also been in tears twice. That's it. I feel for you guys. I really, really do. The amount of exposure that you guys feel, I feel terribly for it. Just so exposed, not protected. One thing about my house is I say I always feel protected by the hurt. Imagine that is a hard pill to swallow right now. Sleeping at night. As far as Daniel Barbecue goes, these were residents that came looking for support. So if we can move it along as fast as possible to support our residents. One thing that I kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. Rayback is not a resident of this community. He owns commercial property in our community. Have to put our residents first. You know, that's one thing that people love about this place. And I'd hate to put this out there, but I think having a conversation about collections would be in poor taste tonight. With the way that some residents feel tonight, I think that would.
Oh, with respect to. Oh.
Yeah, I would probably like to motion to maybe put it off week or meeting. I don't think it's the right time and place today for it. Being that we have some residents to go after them for questions.
If you'd like to make a motion, you can do that.
I'd like to put that motion on the table because I just don't.
All right, there
has to be sensitivity.
Prior to the trustee report for police and public safety, there's a motion by trustee McGuire to not discuss item D. Clerk issue.
The motion to table.
Table it till
the next meeting.
Meeting.
Do I have a second? There is no second.
Yeah, it's in poor taste.
Motion is done. Nothing tonight, just good, no second. Anything else, trustee McGuire?
No, that is it tonight.
Thank you. Police and public safety, trustee Diatley, please.
Several things, on in your packet. I hope you had a chance to read them. I do want to share with you a letter, that we received. Chief received, this was on July 3rd, so this would have taken place on July 2nd. I'd like to read it to you. It says, I am writing to express my sincere gratitude to Detective Davis and Officer Choltek for their assistance yesterday regarding the situation involving my husband, who was out for an unexpectedly long walk on a very hot day, and we were unable to contact. Both officers took our concerns seriously from the moment our sister-in-law approached them and if they had seen him during their patrols. Their calm, supportive demeanor immediately reassured us they were thorough in gathering information and demonstrating genuine sensitivity in seeking and understanding my husband's disability and potential medical risk. Given the heat and the likelihood of dehydration, it was clear that they were prepared to utilize any available resource to help resolve the situation, and they maintained contact with me throughout the search period. While my family and I are not new to the area, we have only lived in Sleepy Hollow for just over a year. In that short time, we have consistently found officers of your department to be kind and helpful, and this experience reinforced that impression. Please extend our sincere thanks to Detective Davis and Officer Tolchek for their professionalism, compassion, and dedication to our community. So just wanted to share that information with you. We have good people that do good things, and I just wanted to recognize them and our department to make sure that everybody knows that. So, thank you, Chief. A quick thing for Dan and Maggie. I know Dan and Maggie, they are the real deal, guys. They're good people. If there's something that I feel we can help support them as a board, like I said, they live in the village, they support the village, they do a lot of things around. So they are the real deal. And we, if we can support you in any way, I would love to do that. So I'll let you know that. Couple other things. Chief, I would like to ask you, see if you could discuss the collections proposal. You go ahead with that.
Yeah, this stems from when we changed our ordinance last year, when we started having the ability to do things locally instead of sending things to court. When we send things to court, the courts get all the fees, the courts don't go after people, and if they do go after them, when they do go to collections, which ultimately is where these tickets go, they get all the money, we don't get. So that was really the reason that we set up local adjudication, because if somebody did get fined, it was a much lower fine. Instead of paying $162 in court, they were paying $50 to $75 here. And village would get those funds versus the court. So we set that program up, passed that ordinance, that was fine. This is the last step in that, which we have to have the ability, if we go to local adjudication and we get a judgment, we have to have the ability to go out and collect on the judgment if it becomes delinquent. The company that you have the information on is a company that West MD uses and many other communities around us use. The collections end of it, just to address the sensitivity issue. When you look at, first of all, this was on the agenda well before the 1601 issue came up. That being said, when you look at the data, the collections company usually doesn't have to go after residents. Most of the times they say that residents, if they get a ticket, they pay their tickets. It doesn't go to collection. So this is more to go after the non-residents who think there's no ramification, there's no consequences to them not paying it. So that's really what this is about. There's no cost to the village. It comes out of the collection fee. There's no cost to the village. There's very little, if any, exposure. So, but it would not be something I would use as a handler over our residents.
So Chief, is this strictly for traffic violations?
Is for non-reportable traffic violations, so I couldn't use it for, like, if officer writes a speeding ticket, that's considered a reportable violation, we can't use it for that. But it's minor ordinance violations, equipment violations, things like that.
So not against property, like, for instance, if 1601 is not paying their fine,
It absolutely could be.
so we
for those as
could
well.
use
Yes.
it for, okay.
But again, if somebody right now, if somebody gets, as an example, they get a fine for not cutting their grass. You know, or they get, it would take a lot for us to get to the point where somebody actually gets a ticket, but somebody got a ticket for that. We'd write the ticket would be $75. If they don't pay it, it goes to court. And then when you go to court, that judgment could be $162 from the court because of all the fees that they attach to the ticket itself. We're trying to keep it all in-house to kind of eliminate all those extra fees.
And if I could point out, Eugene and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understood it last year with our code enforcement, we took in $0 revenue. Because when residents do violate the code, nobody wants to be harassing them or narking on them. We want to work with them. And so long as the code is met, eventually, any fines that have been paid usually are returned or they're not charged at the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, our process here is, there's a warning letter that goes up first, a pre-citation warning letter that goes out first. So we tell people there's a violation, then if they don't comply, then there's a pre-citation warning that goes out to get X amount of time to comply with that. And then finally a citation is issued, and even after a citation is issued, if the person rectifies the problem, we void the ticket. So that's the reason we collected nothing. We're not looking to make money off of our residents for things like that. We just want basic compliance if there's an issue that's brought up.
And I think that speaks to what Trustee McGuire was saying with the sensitivity. Like we are, as Chief has said, we're not going after residents. Here it indicates that upwards of 80% of village code violations are outside of the residents. So it's to go after the people who think, oh, I don't live there, they're not gonna find me or bother with me. And that's where some of the monies really come from, so.
Yeah, this just gives us the ability to collect those monies that we, quite honestly, would not be able to collect.
And this is no cost to,
Okay.
Yeah, there's two ordinances, there's an ordinance, the one that they highlight is the 35% for which adds an extra 35% fee. They send out letters warning people that if it goes delinquent beyond this time, they're gonna get that extra fee. And they found in the research that that warning letter generates a lot of payments up front and it doesn't get to that. But yeah, it's a relatively hands-off thing for us to do here.
That is the add-on statute
Correct.
that you're talking about next, yeah.
Sorry, we had a
So,
enter there by accident.
yeah, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve the collections company proposal as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
1 second.
I would, I have some, not concerns, but some suggestions about that agreement. I don't like all the way that it's worded. I did look at it today, same with the proposed ordinance. So my suggestion would be, table it to the next meeting for approval. I'll,
I was gonna say, could you get your
consult
comments?
with the chief.
Mhm.
We'll have some, the substance isn't gonna change, just some of the wording to make it clearer. And then put it on the agenda for the next meeting. If it's a consensus of the board to proceed, is that right, chief?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
I may not be here at the next meeting, so.
Well, we'll talk in
about it
advance, and if
exactly.
it comes with both our approvals, then the board can act on it.
Okay.
So would you like to take your motion back or would you like to move to
I
table
would,
it? to
I would
next?
like to move to table it until
Next meeting.
Second.
Schuster's looked at it in the next meeting.
All right, trustee Diatley moved, trustee Thomas seconded to table the motion to approve the collections company proposal until the meeting of July 21st. Thanks, you got it. Comments, questions, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No opposed, all in favor, motion passes. We will address this at the meeting on the 21st. Meeting chief and Margot.
So please put it back on the agenda.
Chief, you have anything else?
Just a quick recap of the events that Fourth of July. 4th of July daytime events were great. We had no issues at all from the police department standpoint. Everybody was, the crowds were a little bit lower this year, I noticed, but again, the car show guys don't like to keep the cars wet. So I knew that they wouldn't be coming out when the rain was there. But overall, everybody was extremely well behaved, happy to be there and turned out to be a good event. The actual fireworks show, we had 14 members of OEM that helped us. We had 11 or 12 members of the police department, including the person I have now in the academy. He came out on his own time just to spend the day with us, kind of see how everything how everything's going, so that was really good to have him out and kind of see what the team does. We had 2 civilians and then a bunch of family members that came out, so overall, it was a great event. Now, all the feedback that I've gotten so far is that it was extremely well run. We had the village essentially cleared out. The fireworks show ended at 10 to 10, I believe it was. We had the village cleared out before 10:15. So traffic was. So yeah, we've gotten it down to where it's pretty good sign for us, so not good.
All right, buildings and environment, trustee Schatzberger.
I have been doing a little bit of networking with some people that are working with the Des Plaines Forest Preserve, as well as residents clearing up the invasive species, and I got a lot of different avenues that I'm looking into for grants. And one of the grants that I am interested in going out for, the deadline is August 1st. It is for permanent conservation of easements. I would like to get the board's approval to reach out to them. I was thinking if it is something that we could get, it might be a great opportunity to look into bushes or trees that are not invasive, that are native to our state, that we could possibly use along the easement.
So the different greenways between homes
Mhm.
and kind of the retention areas.
Yes.
I don't believe that we need a board vote to pursue that. That could be a conversation you and I have and just start working on the application.
Is there some cost sharing or cost to the village in that grant program that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of yet. I just want to start pursuing it. I was waiting for my official email from the village. I could not apply for it as a resident. I need to apply for it as a trustee, so.
So Rhonda, does this grant only speak to invasive species and which you
Well,
already mentioned, or?
Yes,
is
so
it more broad?
it's for conservation of native trees and plants to the environment that will not, like the honeysuckle and the buckthorn, where they encroach on native plants and choke them out. This is to make sure that we're planting stuff that is to native to the area and to beautify and keep it level.
What would be the plan for a grant writer, though?
I mean, what would be the plan?
Well, we would need a grant writer for some of these things.
No, I can write,
You
yeah.
can write it, okay.
Yeah, and I work on natural resources grants.
Okay.
And I know several notaries that I can work with.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
And with respect to, some people have asked me before about why we're interested in natives versus invasives. Just a little statistic of 0.01% of our native prairies in Illinois that's all we have left in the state of Illinois. And so a lot of organizations and municipalities are starting to recognize that by having the invasives, they choke out a lot of the trees that, please don't hate me for saying this, but the trees that we do want to protect in the village, as well as the native plants that could come up. They have a smothering effect and stifle the growth, and then it's just that much harder to get rid of them. So if we could take some action and through funding and then volunteers, I think that would go long towards sustaining Sleepy Hollow and its natural appeal and what Floyd Felice was trying to do and get us back to healthier environment. Yeah, please look into that and just keep me posted on that and we'll touch base.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you.
All right, and trustee Thomas, building and zoning, please.
No report.
Thank you. All right, any old business? There's nothing on the agenda.
I got a question, just for something that I thought about the last one. So we talked about Spring Hill Mall. So I did look into it with the air quality, it's still bad. What they are doing is misting, but what they're supposed to be doing is dousing. We can look into that again.
I'm misting instead of dousing. Okay. And did you speak with Village of West Dundee personnel or HR Green personnel?
There was something they put out, said that they were misting the dust, some
But who's they? Is it Village of West?
The
Dundee
West
or-
Dundee, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. So West Dundee put out something saying that they were misting the dust, and then I looked into some of how it's supposed to go, and it's supposed to be dousing.
All right, thank you. All right, on to new business. We postponed something on the agenda last time. It's these 25 U-channel signposts, which is within the budget for doing so.
Correct.
Did you want to speak to it or?
Yeah, so I'm not sorry for the confusion last meeting. Looking to order 25 U-channel signposts. Those are the posts that are replacing all the wooden 4x4 posts throughout town. They're the black metal posts. They're $88.65 per post, so the total would be $2,216.25. So I'm looking for board approval to make that purchase.
And we had that already set out. It's just a portion of what we had set out for the replacement of the signs, correct?
It's not for the street name sign posts, those are different posts, those are a square post, they're more flat, they have a new channel in them, but they are for your 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs, all the other signs in the town.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the purchase of 25 U-channel signposts at the total price of $2,216.25?
I'll move.
Moved by McGuire, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Schatzberger. Any comments, questions, discussion?
Yes. I'm for it. Okay, I still don't know why this is coming up on the agenda. This is within budget. It's within our people's
I
realm of
thought we
what they
took it off and
do.
it was brought back up. I'm
So
sorry.
it just seems like it shouldn't be on.
Kyle, is
I
there-
don't know, my purchasing power is $400. Okay, anything after that, I gotta get a signature, and then at the certain point, I gotta get approval from the board, so.
Okay,
If you
so,
guys wanna increase my purchasing power, it's time to me.
Do you have a number in mind?
and also village administrator would bypass that moving forward.
Yes.
I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and trustee Diallo, moving forward, if there is when there is a village administrator, these sorts of requests won't have to come before the board. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yep.
All right, that was the only, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No nays, the ayes have it, motion passes. And at this point, I would like a motion to adjourn.
Executive session.
But President,
Yes.
one thing before the exec, that's because I'll have to walk out as well at that point. I did approve, I said I would notify the board when I approved block party permits. I did approve a block party permit for August 2nd. For the Cape Horn and votes. So that's waiting for, and Kyle's got the information to those airplanes.
Thank you.
Expenditure of funds. Well, funds.
Whoa.
Right at the moment.
I'm sorry, that was a good, thank you, Attorney Schuster. We're gonna redo the vote, please, because it's an expenditure of funds. It should have been a roll call vote. My apologies. We've been off electronic means for so long that yes, it should have. Was the warrants?
No, you just did all of them.
All right, may I have a motion to go back and re-vote on the approval of warrants earlier in the
Who
meeting?
made the motion? I made the motion.
I think
Jenny
that's-
seconded it. So
Do you
the motion
st-
stands, you just.
Okay,
need to
motion
have a-
just didn't
Should have a roll call vote.
Thank you. All right, then, trustees, so we are going back to item 10A, the approval of warrants in the amount of $105,070.90. If I could have any other comments, questions, or discussion at this point? All right, then if I could have a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Hoff,
Yes.
trustee Connelly,
Aye.
trustee McGuire,
Aye.
trustee Schatzberger,
Aye.
trustee Diatley,
Aye.
trustee Thomas.
Aye. Thank you. All ayes. Motion passes. Now, with respect to the motion, we just had the purchase of 25 U-channel signposts in the amount of $2,216.25. That motion was made by,
McGuire, second by Schatzberger.
all right, any further discussion, folks? All right, roll call vote, please.
Trustee Thomas.
Aye.
Trustee Connelly.
Aye.
Trustee McGuire.
Aye.
Trustee Hoff.
Aye.
Trustee Diatley.
Aye.
Trustee Schatzberger. Aye.
All right, motion passes. All voted in favor. Thank you. Oh, no, thank you for making it valid, yes. We had all the roll calls before, because of electronic means. All right, we will adjourn, or I'll take a motion to adjourn this session to break into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
The motion needs to state the,
I'll move to break into executive session.
for, under section 2C1 to consider the employment.
What he said.
All right, so we have a motion from trustee McGuire to break into executive session for personnel, section 2C1. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Diatley.
Oh, you're not going anywhere.
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Diatley,
Aye.
trustee Thomas.
Aye.
Trustee McGuire,
Aye.
trustee Cannelli.
Aye.
Trustee Hawk,
Aye.
trustee Schatzberger.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. We are now in executive session. We can go over into the
5-minute break.
just a second, please. We will go over into the trustee conference room for the meeting, so that if you folks would like to stay here, you're welcome to. We will take a 5-minute break and convene the executive session at 10:50 or 8:50. Yeah. Thank you.
That's over then.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I said. Cause yeah, there last night we sat out. Yeah, it's too much. Right. It's supposed to be That's how we create this week. And the last time played tomorrow's now. You're right, and he had it. He said he had it wrong. That's what it was. All right.
Was there, there's that, what's wrong there? Monday, that's Monday. Is this the old? You know, I must say it.
Right way. Right, I know. Yes, they would pay us, yes, they would show us. Always if they have to deal with this, you know, it affected our life. It makes sense. Yeah. Like that, you know? Yeah. Actually, one of my doctor.
Yeah.
And it's all, you know, my dad actually said, I'm sorry, South. You know, for sure, the guy is either behind or trying hard to read in.
For granted, she is. And I barely see that. But, like, what else? That would be a challenge. I got you. I have never, you would have to give I got my little thing built at university. If I had to reverse that, I would probably don't have to.
So I thought.
Yeah.
Freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Right now, I just went right there. My backyard, there's a couple steps going up. There, and I have lots of stuff that's done. And because there's a way to live in everything now, it's not just that I don't have to, sure, so it's like, I had to go. Computer done, years old. Really slow down. I thought I was on this step, but my right foot went down to the next foot, my left foot went up here and all the way back. So you
If you did, I'd be like, you did pretty hard on that person, you know.
Making up words, my thoughts were meeting the words that started migrating down the hall farther away from my always go back.
Probably toilet, so it's a bit but you know, you're angle, you're, you know, you're like, you do something a million times and a million first time. All of a sudden, it's. You go to the doctor, and the doctor's like.
That's an age of some sort of just, right? I mean, all the dumb stuff I've done, you know, switch for six.
Well, I think that's not, you know, you bring up big enough stuff, you probably wouldn't hurt the. Still bonus.
They did, it was good. I just.
Yeah.
Right.
It's an accident.
You hanging out till?
Yeah. Yeah, a long time. He said it was gonna be a long time.
See, then, it sounds like there's a copy set of. participating. So, you know, I'm going to, that's why I was asking. It is, that doesn't really, I don't care when I went on the extreme, because I always know what the hell is happening.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know, like this election is sort of the same, having bad time with like finance business. It's no cost to us. They're discounted. I'm sure they would have another.
Right.
In advance, it's still, if you don't have it, still. Well, that part's a no brainer. Yeah, that, but it's like, even if you have a 675 comment, I mean, this 50, farming it out with somebody. The likelihood that, let's say, 3/4 of these pay, and the other doesn't, still $50, you know.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend it now, I don't trust it. Ask them, I'll have the next, what happened, when they cut it next step, though. You know, they don't pay anything like this last for judgment or something. But, what is, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a nice house. All right, good luck to you. I did the garage.
Yeah, so I get it.
But they. And mark everything.
That's why I was just, you can't change that now, because that's an issue, that's a vision. And their driver's seat is some odd years. I mean, like, policies were together, so, yeah. Yes, I will.
They couldn't see a little.
Right. I saw they were working on that.
It's years to. Yeah.
I broke his
So we found that out. This collection. And we have no. I'm not.
Right, so all this, you have this. All it is. Actually, yeah, I was just distributing. Well, which actually is good because it was. No, I agree.
Oh, makes sense. I like that. You know, that was such a good experience. My son did. He wanted to see him for. He bought something for us back on or something. You know, something like this. This would be more. But I'm like, it's something like young man. Not for us. Rural.
This gives us more data, which is nice, and I think it's much more beneficial.
That would happen, but when they eat.
Not from our.
That's official. Yes, yeah, that makes sense.
This is the VIP corner,
Where's
gentlemen. It's freezing. Well, first thing, you know, we one individual, if you're humid or.
It would be nice. Yeah, it is. Right, that is, but it's right here. It's gonna be like a good service.
Yeah. I agree, she's here, you have a monthly. Yeah, it's so jail.
Always good. Control over it. It doesn't help. Right. I think I know that. But then, you know, they must have done it. Yeah, it's always been but governance. Control over us. This year. That was So we have a little bit of going that. So I said, ask a question. And we face. And then also we found a little. Letter for. All of the so it goes in. Scary protection. No, that's like not. Or it's a thing. Several chiefs a lot of jobs because so those. Especially in like the world. Yeah. Some people. We use streets. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you never know what it is. I know. Sometimes it goes to them. Chief, can't stay away or.
You can't see me.
Oh, I think you're fine.
I was able to stump her today though.
I figured it out eventually.
She did, I know, which I took very, very, very.
I was impressed that you wanted to see it. All right, fine.
Even got it to that point.
You got to that place.
Yeah, man.
The glowing will be for it. So don't.
You would never do it.
No, what happens?
No, because I know there'd be a back and a payback somewhere.
It actually. I will say decade. Yeah. 2016. No, 2016. No, 2019.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jake was still a boy. And then all of a sudden, he was in a little baby carriage. For a decade. We've aged for. They keep circling back. And here we are.
I mean, I've heard that. I have people here.
I didn't have the last.
Used to work with me.
I knew that title really wasn't working.
Now they're, that's thinking right now.
No. That's for times.
Switching teams. Switch sides.
Sam is on the.
Somebody can send, Legion.
So you're only, I guess, right?
Yeah, they're driving it to, the house, that's for. No, I think that we are. Yeah, this, because you filed, so go to something or change, I just like. Directly. Figure out how much. Yeah.
I mean, most of the time I've always heard people just solve.
She might be, it's your walk that way, her phone.
Insulation of the word. And if you want to get it,
Just in the back chat. Yes.
No, Jerry.
You guys have anyone else?
Okay, so you know. Yeah. I've got one background.
I don't know. Maybe they had this discussion, they're just like, you know, we'll get out the back.
That was done based on the pumps broke, but I was wondering over some questions. Who lives in Cary?
I mean, I consider.
Sure. Yeah. I don't like it. Even at course.
Where you go, there was no support structure.
So.
That would go right.
Was that one spot? So to be down. Yeah, he's on one. Because he's really gonna show the longest. Oh, it was close to people. It's shame first. It's too bad. Yeah, so I gotta go back. I'll be making.
Oh, I thought it was already.
No, next week.
It's never like.
No, we're from Stan. That's my next subside. We agreement that they won't for us.
Specifically,
I believe that's what I'm told, but I'll make sure, but I'm trying to find that discreetly. At least I haven't, if I try. We can, as a hiring. But the labor relations always that. That will see how it goes down. And on the beats. So the employment contract was one thing, but the non-compete was another. So she was trying to mold it, we can. I just feel like this is. Yeah.
You know, with the investment.
Yeah, I know.
That hasn't been a long 17 minutes for you. No, I actually did plug it in today and then one of the kids had never loaded it and she'll put the charger. So that's what I said.
Signs and it's 90 minutes, but it won't have.
You know.
That one more.
That's a, yeah.
That's gonna be.
Eugene.
Oh, sorry.
I'll be back to order.
All right, it is 9. It's 9:18. I'm calling the City Hall Village Board meeting back to order after the brief executive session. Upon meeting with the board, there is no action currently to be taken. I would like to entertain a motion now to table the vote for village administrator to the next meeting on July 21st, at which time we will have a contract and description for the board to actually vote upon. I have a motion.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved by McGuire, seconded by Kennelly to table the motion to the next meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, all those opposed? No nays, motion passes. In addition, we have discussed, there is a second matter we were going to discuss in executive session, but it was incorrectly cited. So I will be calling a special meeting this week, a special executive session meeting. And since we're all here, I'd just like to get an idea of our availability on either Thursday or Friday, since we need to give 48-hour notice of the agenda. If you are not available on Thursday, raise your hand at all.
I'm not.
Okay. If you are not available on Friday at all, please raise your hand. So Friday, it looks like we have availability. I understand afternoon is the best. I would recommend a 3 o'clock meeting, unless you guys want to just, I'll open it to discussion too. I mean,
So we don't know, we don't, obviously don't know the topic, so would you set like an hour,
yes.
about an hour? I get to 24, yeah.
Can we do a 3 to 4 meeting on Friday? Thank you. At 3 p.m. It'll be executive session. We will post an agenda 48 hours.
Would you mind sending a reminder? His days and times are not my day.
What's that?
Yeah.
Is that work for you?
But 3 p.m. works.
Steve, does that work?
Yeah, that works.
Thank you. Guys, thank you so much. That's awesome. All right,
Send out a meeting maker.
Trustee McGuire, did you have a motion?
Oh, I have a motion to adjourn. It's second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, bite your tongue. Thank you, folks. Motion passes.
Technically, they all.
We will meet again on Friday, July 11th at 3 p.m. For special, yeah.
Sorry, because I didn't. No problem, yeah.